Hey there, fellow wellness explorers. It's Ethan Reed here, your guide on the KenkoVibe podcast. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a topic that's so important, especially for those of you on a journey to parenthood: fertility. We're going beyond the usual advice you know and uncovering some fascinating factors that might just be the missing pieces of your fertility puzzle. So let's kick things off with a concept that might sound a bit complex at first: human bioelectricity and biomagnetism. Essentially, each cell in your body, including those crucial sperm and egg cells, acts like a tiny little battery with positive and negative charges. And this polarity, this balance of charges, plays a key role in conception. Think of it like magnets. You know how opposite poles attract? Well, it's similar with human polarity. Traditionally, men are thought to have a positive charge on their right side and a negative charge on their left, while women typically have the reverse. When these polarities align correctly during intimacy, it's thought to create a kind of magnetic attraction that can actually increase the chances of conception. But here's where it gets really interesting. What if these polarities are out of whack? Well, if one or both partners have a misaligned polarity, it might create a sort of electromagnetic repulsion, making conception more difficult. This can even be a factor in couples who consistently have children of only one gender. And it's not just about misalignment. Sometimes the issue is weak polarity in one or both partners. It's like having a battery with a low charge. It just doesn't have the energy to spark that connection needed for conception. Now, you might be wondering, how do I even know if my polarity is balanced? Well, there are specialists trained to assess these subtle energy fields, using a variety of techniques to help restore balance. But polarity is just one piece of the puzzle. Let's talk about another hidden energy influence: electromagnetic radiation, or EMR. Now, before you envision nuclear power plants, remember that EMR is all around us, both naturally and artificially. We're talking about everything from the Earth's magnetic field to the waves emitted by your cell phone. Let's start with natural sources. Have you ever heard of water veins? These are underground water flows that create electromagnetic fields. Sleeping or working for long periods over these areas can subtly drain your energy. And for men, this can be particularly problematic, as it can impact sperm vitality. Then we have artificial EMR from our devices: smartphones, Wi-Fi routers, microwaves, and more. While these devices offer convenience, constant exposure to their electromagnetic fields can potentially disrupt the body's natural balance, affecting both male and female fertility. So what can we do about it? Well, first, become aware of potential EMR sources in your home and workplace. You can even consult with specialists who can recommend solutions like deradiators to neutralize negative effects. Next, try to limit your exposure to electronic devices, especially in the bedroom. Keep your phone away from your bed at night. Resist the urge to scroll before sleep. Your brain and your reproductive system will thank you. And finally, one of the simplest yet most powerful tools is grounding. Spending time barefoot on grass or earth can help discharge static buildup and restore your natural balance. It's like plugging yourself back into the Earth's natural energy grid. Okay, we've covered bioelectricity and EMR, but there's one more hidden culprit that might surprise you. It's something we often try not to think about: parasites. Yes, you heard that right. Those tiny critters can play a role in fertility challenges. And the one I want to focus on today is the intestinal fluke. Now, this intestinal fluke is a sneaky little parasite that can migrate to various organs, including the uterus. Once there, it can disrupt normal function and wreak havoc on reproductive health. But how does it even get to the uterus in the first place? Well, research suggests a link between the presence of certain toxic solvents and the fluke's ability to reach the uterus. We're talking about chemicals like methyl ethyl ketone, dimethylbutanol, and isopropyl alcohol. These solvents act like battering rams, weakening cell membranes and creating pathways for the fluke to travel. Once in the uterus, it can contribute to conditions like endometriosis, a major cause of infertility. So where are these scary-sounding solvents hiding? Well, two of them, methyl ethyl ketone and dimethylbutanol, are often found in processed foods and flavor additives. Those chips, candies, and even some healthy packaged foods could be harboring these fertility saboteurs. And then we have isopropyl alcohol. It's commonly found in plastic packaging, particularly bottled water. Those convenient plastic water bottles could be contributing to a buildup of this solvent in our bodies, potentially creating a welcoming environment for that intestinal fluke. But it's not just about the parasites themselves. Plastic packaged food and drinks pose another danger: xenoestrogens. These chemicals mimic estrogen in the body, disrupting our natural hormone balance. They're like imposters trying to take over the role of your body's natural hormones, creating chaos and confusion in the process. So what's the solution? Well, as with so many things in health and wellness, prevention is key. Minimizing your exposure to these harmful solvents by choosing whole, unprocessed foods and ditching plastic packaging as much as possible is a great place to start. But what if those pesky parasites have already taken up residence? Well, there are ways to evict them and restore balance. A simple 2-day cleansing regimen using carrot juice and other natural ingredients can be surprisingly effective in flushing out intestinal flukes. This can be followed by a liver cleanse to further support your body's detoxification process. I know some of you might be skeptical about these natural remedies, but anecdotal evidence suggests they could be incredibly effective in restoring fertility. There have been many cases of women who conceived naturally after completing this cleanse, even after years of struggling. Welcome back to KenkoVibe, friends. As we continue our exploration of these often overlooked factors that can impact fertility, we've talked about energy polarity and even those pesky parasites. Now let's shift gears a bit and look at something a little closer to home, our everyday habits and lifestyle choices. You might be surprised to learn just how much power they hold when it comes to reproductive health. Let's start with something we all do and hopefully enjoy: eating. But here's the thing, not all foods are created equal, especially when it comes to fertility. In fact, some of the things we consume regularly could be acting as fertility saboteurs, without us even realizing it. Think about the typical modern diet for a moment. It's often full of processed foods, refined sugars, unhealthy fats, artificial ingredients. This kind of diet can create a breeding ground for inflammation in the body, which can throw off hormonal balance and disrupt those delicate processes involved in conception. But it's not just what we eat, it's also what we drink. And I'm not just talking about sugary sodas or excessive alcohol, though those are definitely not fertility friendly. I'm talking about something far more insidious: plastic. Remember those xenoestrogens we talked about earlier? Well, plastic is a major source of these hormone-disrupting chemicals. Every time you sip from a plastic water bottle, heat up your food in a plastic container, or even store your leftovers in plastic wrap, you're potentially exposing yourself to these endocrine disruptors. And the worst part is these chemicals can accumulate in our bodies over time, interfering with our natural hormone production and potentially creating havoc in our reproductive systems. Now, I know it can feel overwhelming to think about all the potential toxins lurking in our food and environment, but don't despair. There are absolutely things we can do to protect ourselves and support our fertility naturally. First and foremost, let's talk about food. It's time to ditch the processed junk and embrace a whole food diet, rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats. Think of it as giving your body the premium fuel it needs to function at its best, including those all-important reproductive processes. Next, let's tackle the plastic problem head-on. Start by swapping out those plastic water bottles for reusable stainless steel or glass options. And when it comes to food storage, opt for glass containers or those made from BPA-free plastic. It might seem like a small change, but trust me, your body will thank you. Now let's move beyond the kitchen for a moment and look at some of our daily habits. Are you getting enough sleep? Are you managing stress effectively? Are you moving your body regularly? These might seem like unrelated factors, but they all play a crucial role in hormonal balance and overall well-being, which in turn impacts our fertility. When we're chronically sleep deprived, our bodies produce more of the stress hormone cortisol, which can interfere with ovulation and sperm production. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep each night to give your body a chance to rest, repair, and recharge. Stress is another major fertility saboteur. When we're constantly stressed out, our bodies go into that fight or flight mode, diverting energy away from non-essential functions like reproduction. So it's crucial to find healthy ways to manage stress, whether it's through yoga meditation, spending time in nature, or simply taking a few deep breaths throughout the day. And don't underestimate the power of movement. Regular exercise helps to improve circulation, boost endorphins, and balance hormones. Just be sure to avoid overexertion, as excessive exercise can actually have a negative impact on fertility. Before we wrap up this part, I want to address something that often comes up in conversations about fertility: mindset. I know it's easier said than done, but try to cultivate a positive and optimistic outlook. The journey to parenthood can be challenging, and it's perfectly normal to experience a roller coaster of emotions along the way. But holding on to hope and believing in your body's ability to conceive can make a world of difference. Surround yourself with a supportive community, whether it's your partner, family, friends, or a therapist. Don't be afraid to reach out for help and share your experiences. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. So as we wrap up our deep dives into these hidden factors influencing fertility, I want to leave you with a thought that might just shift your perspective. We often think of fertility as solely a physical process, something that happens within our bodies. But what if it's more than that? What if fertility is also influenced by something deeper, something more energetic and interconnected? Ancient wisdom traditions around the world have long recognized the importance of energy flow and balance in overall health and well-being. They understood that we are not isolated beings, but rather intricate parts of a larger web of life, constantly exchanging energy with our surroundings. And this exchange of energy doesn't just stop at the physical level. It extends to our thoughts, emotions, beliefs, even our ancestral patterns. All of these subtle energies can influence our fertility in ways we're only beginning to understand. So if you're struggling with conception, I invite you to explore this energetic dimension of fertility. Consider practices like acupuncture, energy healing, or even simply spending time in nature, connecting with the Earth's energy. These practices can help to clear blockages, restore balance, and create a more fertile environment within and around you. And remember, the journey to parenthood is unique and personal. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. What works for one person might not work for another. So trust your intuition, listen to your body, and be open to exploring different paths. And most importantly, don't give up hope. The human body has an incredible capacity for healing and renewal by addressing these hidden factors we've discussed today, both physical and energetic. You can create a more fertile ground for your dreams of parenthood to blossom. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the fascinating and often mysterious world of fertility. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with anyone who might benefit from this knowledge. And as always, I invite you to subscribe, like, comment, and join the KenkoVibe community for more insightful health discussions. Until next time, stay curious, stay empowered, and keep those vibes high.